What a pain in the ass. No, they were pushing a lot of the stuff about Malcolm Jamal Warner, past me, but I just didn't really pay much attention to it. I covered it. I said, don't go out and do things that are excessive and compulsive and extreme because of competitive people that compare themselves to others. You shouldn't go, I don't do surfing. I don't do mountain climbing, rock climbing. I don't do shit like that. I ain't got nothing to prove to nobody. You know, I'm not going to risk my beautiful life to prove to a bunch of assholes that I'm worthy of my life. So, that kind of shit pisses me off. And I don't see myself as a white man. I see myself as a human being that loves and wants to be loved. And I don't, being a quote, white man that was accused of being güero and gringo, which I am, in a Mexican community when I was young, and getting the bigotry and the hatred from that, then moving to Washington State and being called a wetback and a beaner, and being accused of being a Mexican the rest of my my adult life, all the way up until, after they kidnapped my kids, when I worked with Marilee Ortega and Olay, and I would go to the things that you look like a thug, and they put me out of the affluent areas and into the barrio because people felt more comfortable around me. It's like, these are the only clothes I got. I got to dress like what I got to wear. If you want me to dress. But it was just the way I looked, my physical appearance. They thought I was a vato. He's casing the place. Why? And they thought that, the way I look. Well, because, when I walk and I'm serious, I guess I have a serious look in my walk and in the way I look. I'm sorry, not just hunter-gatherer, but when you're a farmer and, wolves come around or people come around, you have this look like, and if a coyote comes to kill your cat, you got to stare it down until it, I'm serious. Go get something to eat somewhere else. You ain't eating Emily's cats. Okay. Kate's and Emily's cats. No. Okay. So you have to have that in you. I'm a big sweetheart. I am a huge sweetheart. I'm one of the sweetest people you've ever met. Okay. Just don't come around to eat Emily's and Kate's cats and we'll be fine. Okay. You know what I'm saying? But the cats eat birds. I understand that. But I talk to the cats and tell them, be merciful, get it done. I like turkey sandwiches and chicken too, and so do Emily and Kate. So I can explain that to my daughters and they'll go, you're right, Daddy. Right. And, I don't look at anybody being manipulated into anything wrong as far as tribalism or anything like that. I had a brief conversation while I was shooting baskets in the rec hall, and I had a conversation with this woman, Jennifer Lopez, in my head. We speak more frequently than I do to most other celebrities and people of influence and notice. So she talks a lot to Jesus in prayer. And my basically thing, and he knows who she is, and she talks a lot to him. I sit there and, say, I don't see anything wrong about what they consider tribalism and stuff like that. And I can't imagine a world, if I was a man with you to live out the golden years, I can't imagine a world without Max and Emme in it. Like I couldn't imagine I don't want to live in a world without Emily and Kate. I just, I wouldn't, if I had gone left in Albuquerque instead of right and stuff and got a basketball scholarship and married Edna and stuff like that, I would have never met Amy. I would have never knew Natty. I would have never knew Noah. And I wanted to get to know Gilbert more, but Gilbert was already here. Okay. And he was with the people that he needed to be with. Like I told Miriam Del Negro Montalvo Mercado, so if I think if the Lord wanted us to be together, we would have been single when we met. And so I'm not quite sure if we will. And just like with me and Edna, I'm certain that the people that consider themselves the powers that be were jealous and manipulative. I think of the two women in my life that I met and that met me and wanted to be with me, that the two women that were, Mom was right. Mom never met Edna, but Mom didn't meet Miriam. She talked to Miriam on the phone. And after everything screwed up, Mom had told me when I got back home, she was like, Earl, you could tell that woman loved you. just by her voice when she talked about you. You know when a woman loves a man. I didn't have to meet her. I just had to talk to her on the phone, right? I knew this woman, she's passionate, she's this. So my mom was upset with me because my mom kept trying to break me in law up and hook me up with Sergeant Montalvo. And so was Patrice, okay? But they didn't go about it right. You need to set me down like, the ones who went about it right was Miriam and it was, I think it was Renee, yeah, because we were talking about Judy. And they were talking shit about Judy and said, y'all, the gossip and shit, y'all need to quit that shit, you know? And they said, well, Judy talks about you. And I said, what's Judy say? He said, Raphael's being stupid. He needs to realize Law's screwing around on him and he needs to go find somebody else. Said she just loves me and doesn't want to hurt my feelings, but she's right. She's most likely right. And Miriam's and Renee's jaws went, and they're like, what? Why haven't you? Because I don't make my assessments, my judgments off of gossip and hearsay. I have to have hard evidence. I have to have proof. And everything's been gossip and hearsay up till now, and I need real evidence. Either she confesses or somebody comes up and tells me, hey, someone I know and trust, we seen her going to the club, kissing some guy and leaving with him. And I was, that's enough, I'm done. But no one ever did that. They just hinted around about it. And then when it finally broke up, it was after Miriam was with stupid-ass Tito and his 8 months, and she did the same thing again. She wanted somebody to rescue her, but then she got caught up in the relationship and she thought this one might be the one, that she would take this one from this bitch. And I was like, you don't do that. No, look, especially when they're pregnant. He's lying. She's not a bitch. He's an asshole. He's screwing around on her. Okay. They all say that. Okay. They all say that. No. Women would come up to me and say, women that were more physically desirable and were more about being mothers and less about running around and doing whatever they wanted, and more serious about it being a family woman that had a family man that was really good about his kids and the way I was. And they would come up and they would inquire, especially when I was with Amy, and I can't. She will do like Stephanie did. She'll use the courts to destroy us because she'll be jealous of us, because you're more physically appealing than her, and she'll be mad. And then she'll be jealous because, how's that affecting her kids? Their kids are going to think their stepmom's more attractive, more intelligent, and a better person than their mother. It's like, well, their stepmom doesn't take all their money and go to the bar and screw other guys, right? And so you sit there and see that. And I would try to explain this to Amy. And it seemed like she was retarded. Right. Then when I looked at the diabolical scientific manipulation to try to test me to see and I knew it was about me. And I was like, these people are challenging me. They're testing me. They're testing Job. They're testing Jonah and David and Jesus. And they're testing how great is this guy. It's like, he's really good. God is great. Now go home and reflect that. Now leave me the fuck alone. Right? Just, gosh, damn it, right? So I sat and I watched this stuff on Michael and Jamal Warner, and he got caught up into his tribalism, and tribalism is bullshit. I'm not Charlie Kirk. Okay? And that's who Malcolm and Jamal Warner was acting like, Charlie Kirk. We black people have to do, close your eyes. Okay, which one of your friends is going to fuck your wife? Wow, it was the black guy. The white guy wouldn't do it. He loves you too much. But you black people got to what? Tell me one more fucking time what you people got to do. Okay? Close your eyes. Make a wish. Okay, now they're going to have you go with people that say they love you and do things that are violent sex cult activities and say, this is your Make-A-Wish Foundation before the kid dies from cancer because of a toxic environment, because of toxic relationships. What color was the poison that caused the cancer? What? It's kind of got a blackish to it, when you especially when you got them, especially at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning, right? Harley Davidson. It's got a blackishness to it, right? Some of it has some white smoke, Most of it's just kind of like it's odorless. It's not odorless, but it's a point. Don't let the invisible fire kill my friend, right? Shake and bake. Peanut butter and ladies, right? Dumbasses. Ricky boobies. That's what they like, you know. And you've got to be able to self-evaluate and tell yourself, I'm a human being. And I deserve the dignity and respect of being a human being and honoring the natural laws to sustain our lives. It's not the Palm 4. I'm not Vulcan. I won't die or try to kill people if I don't get back and spawn. You know, it's fucking nuts. Science people are wackos. Okay, they're the biggest fucking wackos. They can't get the way out of their own heads. Gosh, they're hard to deal with. You know, I avoided them like cancer and the plague all through school, period. In the military, I went to jobs that hung out with the everyday people. The people that like, no, okay, the tribalism is bullshit. Just love and be loved in return. And those are the type of people I attracted. And the two women, the most, I guess it's because I looked more like their tribe. And most of the guys in their tribe were macho bulls. Edna was Mexican, and Miriam was Cuban. Okay, and there's a lot of macho bullshit in that. And I can handle macho bullshit like making snaps like a button. It's like tying my shoes. You know, like I said in one of these earlier videos, they didn't let low. You know, if I ever met Mike Tyson, I'd say to him to the thing I said to the professional killers in Sierra Vista. You know, you come here to live the Lord's Prayer, you come here to die. Okay. You got to make a decision. Leave tonight, live and die this way. Okay. You got a fast car? Okay. You go use it. All right. Mike Tyson, I don't have to work out. I have chi and endorphins and an immune system that are off the charts. I can be psychologically, physiologically abused. I can be poisoned to the point where Mike Tyson would have died from colorectal cancer 5 times already, Prince of Wakanda. Okay. And I can still survive and recover. Survive, stop, eliminate abuse, recover. I'm the Messiah. It ain't Mike Tyson. It wasn't Malcolm Jamal Warner. Okay. Malcolm Jamal Warner wasn't a bad kid. He was just a stupid kid. And he never got out of that stupid kid. He never grew up. Okay, when you grow up, you know, come back when you grow up, girl. I know Earl rhymes with girl, but I was born grown up. My mom always said that. He's like a little old man. Well, or like Steffi used to say about Patrick, he's a very old soul. It's not an old soul. It's just we got a lot of experience in being a human being because we've been genetically splicing for thousands of years. And I wouldn't try to breed everybody else off the planet because of my tribalism and my racism. So therefore, my wisdom is far superior to anybody who sees themselves as tribalistic, violent, sex cult activist. Hope that helps Max and Emmy's mom. Okay, guys, I love you. All right, peace.